Adrien Broner a good gangster rapper? If he wasn't boxing, would he have a blossoming career in gangster rap? I don't know. But I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. Adrien the Problem Broner is going to be taking on Emmanuel Tranzforma Taylor, 18-2 with 10 knockouts on September the 6th, 2014. We are now 6 days away from that fight, and 5 days away from that fight. And here's my beef. In the Carlos Molina fight, the fight that Adrien Broner fought on the undercard of Mayweather versus Maidana, he was supposed to display that he's a changed fighter, that he's been working on his craft during that fight. Instead, he sidewalk slammed Carlos Molina. He was taking a lot of clean left hooks, and if Carlos Molina had some power, Carlos Molina could have probably won the fight. So now you say, okay, you're going up in a step above. Okay, see, Emmanuel Taylor is a good fighter. Emmanuel Taylor is the perfect fight right now for Adrien Broner, but it doesn't answer the question that we need to see answered. How does Adrien Broner do against fighters that move around? Emmanuel Taylor is somewhat of a fighter that's stationary. Chris Algieri beat him. Yes, Chris Algieri is going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao. Chris Algieri fought Emmanuel Taylor before he fought Ruslan Vodnikov on ESPN. So when you see Emmanuel Taylor, the best fights for him to be successful in is against fighters that are going to be right there in front of him, almost like a Canelo Alvarez. He does have enough power, even though he only has 10 knockouts compared to, you know, the fact that he looks like he's just a power puncher. But he can hurt AB. But if we learn one thing about Broner, is that he's not scared of nobody, and he'll fight everybody if it was up to him. But his management is doing the right thing. And Adrien Broner can take a beating. The beating he took against Marcos Maidana, you have to think, okay, the first knockdown. You have to remember, Adrien Broner's jaw was fractured in that fight. His jaw was fractured in that fight. You can clearly see it. They held back the post-fight interview because it was so... Adrien Broner losing in December of 2013. It meant so much because you had this guy with all that charisma talking about he was Floyd Mayweather, the next Floyd Mayweather, and saying he didn't want to fight Floyd because he didn't want to take his own. He was selling himself. He's almost like Floyd to being a master marketer of himself. But if you look at his fights, and if you look at his knockouts, they've been close quarter knockouts. If you look at the way he's won majority of his fights, it's been by overpowering his opponent and normally being the bigger fighter over his opponent, and the power clearly showing. In 3 fights, 2 at 147, Paulie Malignaggi and Marcos Maidana, he's 1-1, and then 1 fight at 140 pounds since jumping up from 135. Now, the foot movement, because Adrien Broner wants to have a title at 140 pounds. What's the point of him being at 140 if his next fight is not for a title or the fight after that? So I'm saying that right now it looks like it's not going to be Danny Garcia. It'll maybe be Lamont Peterson if Lamont Peterson is still at 140 pounds. And Lamont Peterson and Adrien Broner played a prank on fans where, you know, he said that this fight with Emmanuel Taylor was going to be canceled. Me and Broner said this, and I posted a picture of him and Lamont Peterson on Instagram. This was just, you know, last week. So, by the way, it's September 1st, 2014. So what I'm saying is Broner, I don't know how he does against pressure fighters. I don't know. I'm talking about, let's think about a guy, Lucas Martin, Matisse. Many fans feel that Adrien Broner is not ready for him, and Adrien Broner cannot beat him. Adrien Broner just would be beat up again like he did with Marcos Maidana. Now, here's the thing I feel with Adrien Broner. Even though I can be critical of him sometimes, you know, I like the kid. You know, he sells fights, and at this young age, look how much charisma he had. He has more charisma right now at this young age than Floyd Mayweather did at that age. So when you think about Adrien Broner as a fighter, and if you look at the way Al Haymon looks at him, if he's looking at him like an asset, Adrien Broner can sell tickets. Adrien Broner can put people in seats, and Adrien Broner can sell a fight. So with that being said, remember Al Haymon. What was I about to say? Al Haymon's last big African-American fighter outside of Floyd Mayweather was Andre Berto. I think when Andre Berto got beat down like he did, and Andre Berto had tough fights, people think that Al Haymon don't always make tough fights sometimes. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he's being forced into that situation. I don't want people to get it confused and think that I think that Al Haymon is holding back big fights. But it's just that Al Haymon's fighters have done well in the past to the point where he's signing up all of them and they're all collecting titles, but they're not fighting each other. So he's like, oh shit, I'm going to have to start making y'all guys fight. So Adrien Broner, for him to capture a title at 140 pounds, I'm thinking, like, who's he going to have to go through? And then who can he beat? For example, even though Chris Algieri's only had, for fans, that know, the only fight that he had that made him notable really was against Ruslan Provodnikov. And he's fighting Manny Pacquiao, but even the way he fought Ruslan Provodnikov and that movement and that length and that jab and that boxing ability, if Paulie Malignaggi came close to doing it and even got a split decision, then why can't Chris Algieri maybe do it? I say put Adrien Broner against Ruslan Provodnikov. I see Adrien Broner losing. You see what I'm saying? Because I said we have to see an Adrien Broner that we haven't seen before when he fought Marcos McDonald. I said, if you're going to go in there fighting that same fight he fought against Paulie Malignaggi, Gavin Rees, Eloy Perez, Vicente Escobedo, he's going to get beat up. He's going to get, and he didn't get knocked out, but my God, he's lucky he didn't. So now, looking at it, in the 140-pound division, him fighting Emmanuel Taylor, yeah, it's a good fight. It's an exciting fight for the fans on paper because we know that AB is supposed to look good. Emmanuel Taylor's going to be right there for him to hit. Emmanuel Taylor is not as skilled as Adrien Broner, and he doesn't throw as many punches as Adrien Broner, even though Adrien Broner's punch output can be low. Now, that's saying something. But if they're in the pocket, which Adrien Broner will try to do sometimes, then Emmanuel Taylor has a great chance. But punch variety and hand speed and skills with the hand speed, I got to give it to Broner. So, but my thing is, what if Emmanuel Taylor decides to become the person that he always wanted to be after having a fight with Chris Algieri and then seeing that Chris Algieri got a fight with Manny Pacquiao? Not saying that Emmanuel Taylor would have got, but he probably like, damn, that could have been my shot against Ruslan. So getting a win over Kareem Mayfield, who was a growing name at the time. Kareem Mayfield was pretty much a good name, so he got that win, and he like, oh shit, I got Adrien Broner. So what if a different Emmanuel Taylor shows up? So this is, like I said, this is a good fight, a tough fight, no pun intended, a tailor-made fight for Broner, and it's in Cincinnati where Broner's from, so it's going to sell, it's going to be popping in there. He's going to come out to some rap music. We already know that. He's going to do something crazy. He's going to probably march in the ring or do some shit, because it's charisma. I don't get mad at stuff like that. I get mad at ignorant shit. Like, for example, I didn't feel he should have been penalized for saying anybody can get it. I'm a Mexican, Canadian can, or whatever. You shouldn't be penalized for that. So I didn't see that as being disrespectful. I didn't see him saying that like Mexicans were below him. No, he just was talking shit. So if you say an African can get it, like what if somebody from Africa was like, oh, you thought for me and called the WBC, like you don't hear that, and even though he's African American, what I'm trying to say is you ain't hearing nobody, the Chinaman. That's kind of there. Yeah, that's kind of bigot right there. You don't say Chinaman. Anyway, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. So moments after this fight, I'm going to be doing a video. Then about an hour or so after this fight, I'm going to be right here on Google Hangout. So that basically means it's going to be me and some people. We're going to be talking shit about boxing for maybe 2, 3 hours or so. And we're going to start answering, we're going to answer a lot of questions and share news and everything, share news and everything like that. And it's pretty informative. So it is worth it. I'm getting better at it, and it's something I will continue to do. So once again, if you want your boxing news, go right below. Before people used to say, why don't you have a website? Okay, all right, Real Combat Media right below. If you want to read boxing articles, if you want to go see some hear some archived interviews or whatever, right below. Now, as far as a boxing forum, it's right below that. It's a Facebook page. I have my boxing forum in the form of a Facebook page. The reason why I do that is because there's a lot more privacy than just having a group. So I have a like page. My like page is where I actually post fights and news, you know. So basically, if there's a fight happening, for example, this week I'm gonna post Adrien Broner fights, Emmanuel Taylor fights on there. So if it's fights you can't find, you know, you want to see, I'm going to be posting those on the page all throughout the week. Now on my boxing page is actually the boxing forum. We got to send a friend request to. There's real boxers there. The guy that fighting Andre Berto on the undercard of this, I had an interview with him last week, and he's actually there. You got Sean Porter there. You got Kelly Pavlik. You got who else? I don't even miss a lot of them. I just don't feel like saying the names. But once again, I'm T Street Controversy. Please subscribe. This is T Street Controversy Live. I do my videos live, uncut and unedited, and I talk about boxing.